Welcome into Engage 8. Today we're talking Derek Carr requesting a trade slash realizing he's getting traded from the Las Vegas Raiders after 9 years with the team. It seems like they're going to be moving pretty fast. As of February 15th, Derek Carr's contract extension that he signed last year becomes fully guaranteed, so the Raiders have all the incentive to move quickly with this trade process. That's only 3 days after the Super Bowl, so there's a solid chance that he gets traded while there's football still being played. I'm just going to kick it right to you. I mean, we've got a couple teams. I know like the Jets are one of the big options. The Colts are also in there as well. What are some of the options that you think that he could end up with and why they're the best fits?
Yeah, I think the Jets and Colts definitely make a lot of sense. I mean, the Colts makes a ton of sense because the Colts just seem to have this revolving door of quarterbacks that they just continue to go down. So, like, why stop now? You know, you've done it for 5 straight years, so why not make it a six? So I think that makes some sense. As far as like other teams, like I don't know if the Texans are a team that he would want to go to, being that they're in such a rebuilding phase. They also have a high draft pick to go after a quarterback. I would say the Colts are my personal favorite on where he goes. Maybe the Bucks if they move on from Brady. I could see that being a possible destination for him as well. I mean, Dolphins maybe if they move on from Tua. The other one that I kind of looked at as a possible destination, I don't know if they've got the money, but the Saints. I think the Saints would make a lot of sense for him to go to because they've got Jameis and Andy Dalton right now. Do the Saints really see a future there? I don't know. They could possibly see a future with Derek Carr. So I think they're a bit of a dark horse. I think the Colts are the favorite right now, but I look at the Saints as a possible destination for him as well.
Yeah, the Saints were another team that I kind of thought in the back of my mind, like, hey, if they feel like they're going to be too good next year to like go for like Caleb Williams or something like that, which that roster probably will be. Derek Carr could be another kind of stopgap option. He's an improved Dalton slash Jameis Winston. I don't think it's crazy to say that they could move forward with Dalton either, but my favorite for Carr is probably the Jets, just because the Jets probably won too many games this year to put themselves in position for one of the quarterbacks in this class. And unless they go after Jimmy G or even shoot for the moon with Lamar, depending on how that situation goes, Carr might kind of be a fallback option. The only problem is you have to kind of the Jets have to make that decision probably over the next month or so. And I don't think the Lamar situation is going to be fixed. And hell, Jimmy Garoppolo might be playing in the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to trade him, or you're going to have a decision on that as far as moving him off of San Francisco while they're still playing games. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this situation works out. But then on the other side of things, the Raiders, they move on from Derek Carr. They're going to need a quarterback for next year. They're picking 7th in this year's draft, and with the way that CJ Stroud played against Georgia in the semifinal, kind of feels like he's going to be out of their range there, even though he started to tick down boards a little bit as we had that little month off from college football. But he started to move back up, and now we're talking about him in the top 3 once again. So it seems as if they want to go after Stroud, they're going to have to move up into the top 3. Or maybe they stay put. Maybe they like Levis. Maybe they like Anthony Richardson. What do you think that the Raiders could do maybe as far as draft options go?
Yeah, so I think it's a very interesting situation for them because of the teams in front of them, in my opinion, that also need quarterbacks that you wonder what way they're going to go. Like, for instance, the Colts. Do the Colts go after somebody in free agency, or did they go after somebody in the draft? I think the Bears are stuck with Fields. Maybe something happens with Fields where they trade him, then they draft a quarterback. The Cardinals aren't going to be in the need for a quarterback either. The Seahawks, probably. I don't think Geno's the quarterback of the future. The Lions aren't going to get a quarterback. So then you've got the Raiders there. So pretty much the Raiders are going to need to get past probably the Colts, the Seahawks, and the Texans. And if they aren't able to get past them, then yes, they're going to the Raiders, they're going to have to trade up. And if they're trade up, I don't know what type of ransom they're going to have to give up to get one of these quarterbacks. The other route that they could go is not really after call. So I don't think that they will, but then next year or Bo Nix or Zakir might be even better than this year's class. So you have to keep that in the back of your mind when you are looking at the franchise. Somebody like the Texans, where it's like, do we really want to draft a quarterback this year, or should we just get a bunch of playmakers early on, have another crappy year, and then go after a quarterback next year? So it's a risk that teams are going to be taking, but it's going to be interesting because whoever doesn't take a quarterback in this draft or free agency, you can almost guarantee they're going to be going after one next year.
Yeah, it like I remember Sean Payton a couple weeks ago said that this next year is going to be a race to the bottom, kind of like what we're seeing in the NBA right now with Victor Wembanyama. Caleb Williams is that guy, and it's pretty early because we remember 2 years ago we thought Spencer Rattler was the surefire number one pick. He had to come back to school and transfer. He
And
didn't
he's
work
coming
out with
back
Oklahoma.
again.
Yeah, so we'll see how that works out. But Caleb Williams does for sure seem like the real deal. But there's another
If
option.
if
Go ahead.
Caleb Williams were to go in the NFL right now, I think he's a top 10 quarterback.
Oh
That's
yeah.
that's how good this guy is going to be. And if you haven't watched any film on USC, just go watch. Just look at the arm strength. Look at the athletic ability. He's got just as good, if not better, than Josh Allen, and can run a more, but be like Just Fields or something like that. He's extremely talented and athletic.
Yeah, and I feel like the reason why it's not talked about is because the last time we saw a generational quarterback prospect was Trevor Lawrence, and he had the team success all of the years that he was there. I believe they won the national championship in his freshman year, or at least his sophomore year.
And then lost it.
Yeah, so they were there every year. But it's going to be very interesting to see how that works out. But obviously, there's another option that could become available for them through free agency. That's 45-year-old Tom Brady, which we've seen that, we saw the rumors. I believe it was Dana White said something along the lines of he had it lined up with him and Gronk. We're going to come to Vegas a couple years ago, and then it got blown up. That's still an option for them. That could definitely be a thing. You walk in and you'd have Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. That line would need a little patching up, but he'll probably take a pay cut to go to Vegas, and you'll still hold on to draft capital. You can use that 7th pick to get a lineman or something on the defensive end because, really that Raiders roster isn't that good. It's just maybe they're not the 7th pick bad, but they need to replenish some resources, especially on the defensive end. So we'll see how that goes. What do you think about Brady maybe ending up in Vegas?
You think Brady's got more after this? Because I'm telling you, if Brady were to go and win the Super Bowl this year, why wouldn't he come back?
But
He'd
I
absolutely be done.
Cannot
I don't think
see them winning a Super Bowl.
I don't know though. Look at the quarterbacks in the NFC. I know everybody says that, but it really is true. If he gets past Dallas, Jalen Hurts got a little bit of injury issues right now. We know how Jalen Hurts played against them last year in his only playoff game. And then if they were to win that, let's say they play San Fran. Tom Brady against Brock Purdy, who knows what happens. I do think that Vegas is a really good destination for him. As crazy as it might sound, I think it could be a destination for Rodgers as well. Pairing him back up with Devontae would be crazy. But I do think that they are looking it's going to be one of two directions. It's either A, do we find a timey over quarterback to help us for the next 2, maybe 3 years, or do we completely go a different route and look to go to the draft and get somebody younger? That's going to be the two possible options in my mind for Vegas. I can't see them going after a Lamar Jackson or Just Fields or somebody like that who's still young in their prime but has NFL experience.
Yeah, and I feel like the older, the Brady/Rodgers option makes the most sense with the age of the players that are on your offense right now. You've got Devontae Adams, who you just paid a big deal. By the time you get a quarterback like a CJ Stroud or Will Levis up to speed, it might be kind of time for Devontae Adams to start. His contract might be up by the time you figure that out. So we'll see. It's going to be very interesting to see how this situation works out, but that's pretty much all the time we got for today. Thank you guys for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe. We are out.